Whoa. This is the pinnacle. Everything else is trash. Hello, I'm Justin.
And I'm Kyle.
And we are the Mirror Twins. And today we're talking about Transformers. A love of this man, as you can tell. I asked Kyle, can you explain what makes a good Transformer and what makes a not so good Transformer? Because there are no bad Transformers.
There's no such thing. There's just less good ones. This was actually a difficult question. You said to gather some Transformers as examples for my collection. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do... And then when I started looking at them and playing around with them, this was kind of a difficult question to answer. So I did a little bit of research and it meant different things to different people, of course. There's a lot of people who, we talked about this before in one of our other videos about just getting posable statues. And there's Transformer collectors that want posable statues.
Really? Even though the point of it is that it morphs into something else?
Yes.
There's a part of the Transformer fan base that just wants... Okay.
Yeah, they get it out, they transform it once or twice, they put it in a cool pose, and they put it on their shelf, and they don't touch it again.
Wow.
And I can't believe that with Transformers. It was tough for me looking at the different things, like what makes a good Transformer. It's personal, I think. And it depends on the person, because I don't like posable statues. I like toys. I like things that you can play with. I like things that are more durable and stuff you can mess with. So I have different categories for you. He does not know what I brought.
This is not set up. I have no idea. I've not looked in the box. One of the rules I did say is try to stick to modern, right? So no nostalgia. He's not going to pull out G1 Optimus and says, this has never been topped.
No,
because it's unrealistic.
Ridiculous. So the first thing I brought was G1 Bumblebee.
I told you this wasn't planned. Wow, okay.
No, the reason why is because we were talking about something some people call desk formers. Just something you can play with. Something you can have on your desk. Something that's easy to
I call them fidget toys.
They're
Transformer
fidget toys. They're Transformer fidget toys. This is the second run. This is from 1985. This is our original that we had when we were kids. So you can explore that with your digits. He's floppy. I do have the Recreate, which gave him a
cartoon
accurate head. Yeah, but there's the original.
Awesome.
The OG
desk
Bumblebee.
formers.
So it's something you can play with, something that's easy to transform. He looks good.
Quick back and forth.
It's fun. It's easy to do. And he looks exactly like a penny racer, which is what he was supposed to be.
So are we ranking these, or are you just bringing examples?
I'm bringing examples,
okay.
And then you can tell me what you think. So we're not doing G1 except for him.
Okay.
So this will never be topped. No.
This is the pinnacle. Everything else is trash.
Okay, so coming out next, do you know this character?
That is Thunderhoof.
This is Thunderhoof. Very good, very good. Nice work. Have you ever experienced this toy?
No, I've not.
One of the other aspects that I think makes a good Transformer is an interesting transformation. Okay. Something that's not difficult, but it's clever.
So someone who has so much experience with Transformers, could you kind of explain that a little more? You mean like the chest doesn't come from the hood, the legs don't come from the back, right? Like that's something you've seen over and over and over again.
Right.
So you're saying an interesting transformation is a new way.
It moves because it all has to go somewhere. Because this is, they're kind of like puzzles. They have to form a humanoid shape. Most of the time they're humanoid shaped. And if you do it in a way that you're not expecting. For instance, this is his head. There's his face.
Oh, yeah, he's just sticking out right there.
These are his feet. These front wheels are his legs.
Okay.
Back here, those are his hands.
Those are his hands.
These are his hands back here.
So he's like...
He's doing some crazy yoga pose you've never seen before.
He just excreted his gun, which looks like a chainsaw flamethrower. So this guy would be your great example of really interesting transformation that's not complex.
No, he's not
and
difficult.
that's a good distinction to make. Interesting, but not complex.
The way everything moved, he looks pretty good. He is kind of small. The character, I think, was a little bit bigger in the show. He looks nice. He's got a cool weapon. Can't remember the actor who was voicing him. Someone who had played mob bosses, and that was his character in the show. This was Robots in Disguise.
So Robots in Disguise had an interesting thing with the bad guys. A lot of them were animals. Those are animal-like characters. Some of them didn't have humanoid shapes at all.
Yeah.
But he was one that did, but he still maintained some animal form. And it wasn't explained. It was just the bad guys were like animals.
Yeah. And he was so cool because how many tractor Transformers are there? He's such a weird hodgepodge of ideas, but it worked. Like it made sense in the world. He's a blue Transformer. I guess is not significant. I was going to say, how many blue Decepticons do you see? Oh, Soundwave. Okay, never mind. Forget I said anything.
Thundercracker.
Thundercracker. Okay, shut up. Got like some sort of weird stag horn. He was a weird tractor. Pretty posable due to transformation. He does have a waist rotation, waist swivel.
Once again, this is an example of interesting transformation.
Just surprising things like, you know, how the back of the tractor was his hands and the front of his tractor was his head, and then they had to join up.
Next on the docket.
This is another one, clever engineering, so he's a little more complicated. Do you know this character?
I don't. Is he G2?
He is...
Or end of G1?
End of G1. This is Spinister. You know, your old fan favorite. He has one of the greatest names of all Transformerdom. This was specifically taken from one of the comic books.
Now,
the way he looked.
I did want to mention, we were talking about we're going to stick to newer. You did bring out a G1. He's several years old. How old is this one?
This is Siege. So this is not that. It's a nice little cool looking attack helicopter in the very garish colors. In the comic book, he was drawn where he had 2 cockpits, one for each leg. So, well, how do they do that in a toy for a helicopter that only has 1 cockpit? The fun doesn't stop there.
No, it does not.
Because the way this thing folds.
That presents an interesting problem to the Transformer engineers, where it's like the vehicle mode looks like this, but the character looks like this. Suggestions, guys? Brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. And then he has the double cockpit that he had in the comics. The other one just tucks up underneath. So this is another example of an interesting transformation. Does something unique, something different.
He's dance fighting. Dance shooting.
Yeah. Pew, pew, pew. They're rave guns. They only shoot a good time.
They shoot LSD.
Whoa, we're not saying that in our channel.
All right, who's next?
Okay, here's Simplicity. All right, this is... Your reaction is amazing.
What is this?
This is G2 Grimlock. Now, they did make a G2 Grimlock, but this is based on concept art.
How old is this toy?
You can get this currently at Walmart. And
Okay.
you should, because this is amazing.
It's huge.
Yes.
It tells so fat.
Well, it's like the show. It's
Okay.
cartoon accurate. So based off the
Okay.
cartoon, not the toy.
And I assume there's a recolor. They made the regular one
Yes,
too?
the regular one they made a couple years ago.
This
the
is an
regular
example of simplicity.
Simplicity. This is such a very good toy. It's just super simple. It doesn't really do anything clever, but it works. Everything works.
Does it transform just like the
exactly.
G1? You have to rub his belly.
Close. Let's camera.
Simplicity!
Shut up. And there you go.
Me, Grimlock, totally radical.
He is totally radical. Purple underwear.
Me, Grimlock, ready for bodacious time. Wow, okay, simplicity.
And he's huge.
What makes a good Transformer? Simplicity.
It doesn't have to be complicated. It just needs to be fun. All right, so we'll flip gears to, let's go to complicated. You want to go complicated?
So complicated is a reason, even though simplicity is a reason. Complexity could be a reason as well.
It's what you want. This is just clever. So this is Hot Rod, but this is the Shattered Glass version. Let's try to bring
Hot.
different ones. If you look at the car looks really good. It's really close to the screen accurate.
But complex doesn't mean difficult to transform.
No.
Complex means number of steps.
Number of steps. And look at that. He looked
That's a gorgeous looking toy.
Yes, he looks so good as a car, and now he looks so good as a robot.
Man, that's streamlined. Like, he has a bit of a backpack, but
He's got the
so
fin.
streamlined and gorgeous. And he
very
still
posable.
maintains the waist swivel. Wow!
Super posable.
So complex, but not difficult.
Yes.
Is another thing that makes a Transformer good.
So he does have some more features. He came with a lot of extras, kind of like the gargoyles, to fill up the price point. So he came with different things. And look at that stash.
I know, that's a
Evil stash.
I wish I could grow a stash like that. And his is permanent because it's metal. It's welded on, it's literally welded onto his face.
So here's an example of an excellent use of a gimmick. This is Skybite
Would you explain anyone new to Transformers when a Transformer fan says gimmick? What does that mean?
Okay, for me, it has some sort of action feature. It does something. It's a firing missile, or if it's a blade that flips up, or something like
Spring-loaded something.
Spring-loaded something or another. This has one of the best implementations of a gimmick that I remember, because it's non-intrusive. And so he has a cool alt mode.
The Hammerhead Shark, which you never see.
Yeah, you never see. He's got the jaw right there. No. Sharks have jaws.
They do. So I haven't seen a gimmick yet. I was expecting like a auto transformation or something.
Take a look at him, and he's got the cool crown.
The trident head.
Mm-hmm. The trident head.
I thought he was a bad guy because he was a Hammerhead Shark, but no, he's a good guy.
No, he's good. Fishbone,
Shark
whatever.
Bone, scales, whatever. Okay.
All right, and if you mess with him,
so he can go into half mode and bite you.
yes.
Oh, cool. So a gimmick that's really well integrated, because adult Transformer fans hate gimmicks.
Yeah, because they're usually intrusive. They usually stop the character from turning their head. It doesn't impede his arm. His whole arm isn't taken out with a gimmick, because sometimes they don't have posability in their arm because the arm does something. It flips out or something.
Or sometimes their transformation has to be really simple to house the gimmick.
Yeah, they did this one where this whole armor would flip over their head. You would barely touch it and the armor would go off. So easy to do, and you just push it down like that. It works really well.
Hammer bite. So to review, we have interesting transformation, we have simplicity, we have complexity, and then we have interesting gimmick that works in the toy's favor.
Yeah, it's non-intrusive, and it doesn't really impede the posability and just the character. Let's see. Well, I have G-Axis here.
G-Axis, okay.
For comic book verse, G2 universe, and he's one of the only Transformers I can think of that comes with his weapon and then a bootleg version of the same weapon.
He has the toy version and then a cool version of the same exact gun.
So this is the first time this character has ever gotten a toy.
So he was a big deal in the comics, right?
Yes.
Both the US and European comics, right?
I think so, yes. I'm not super familiar with the character. I just really like the toy.
Transforms into a generic 90s spaceship thing.
I guess I want to say this first, because somebody had mentioned that when they were talking about the most important look for a jet is the side. I was like, really? It should be the top. And that's a really cool look. I mean, he looks like a dart. He looks so mean. He's got the red tip like he's going to explode when he hits you.
Yeah. But
he's just got a really cool look.
His side kind of falls apart because there's his arms just dangling out.
Well, one thing you will see is he's pretty beefy. He's got big muscular boxes for arms.
So do you.
Oh, thank you. He's got a very unique head. So do I.
Not really. No. Other people have your same head. So he is an example of posability.
Yes, and he's also just a good, solid transformation. He is also currently available. He's a great figure. Like, if you just want a good Transformer, he's one to pick up.
These are examples of good. So what makes a bad Transformer?
Okay, so I have one. I've warmed on this one a little bit, but when I got this figure, I hated it.
Okay.
I hated it so much because I thought it was such a cop-out, a cheap figure. This is Arachnid from Transformers Prime. So she's a neat-looking stealth helicopter.
Okay.
No landing gear. It's all folds inside. But, oh boy.
What makes this figure bad? What is this an example of?
It's kind of the opposite of what we talked about. That it's not complicated, but it doesn't have good posability. It's not clever at all. It doesn't do anything that's like, oh, that's neat. There's nothing on it. It's not show accurate. That's another one. I believe she's supposed to have 4 of the arms. And in the show, did you ever watch the show?
A little bit.
I don't know if you remember the part where she would actually go into spider mode, where her legs would form the bottom of the helicopter.
Yeah, and she would just crawl around on her blades.
Yeah, that would double the length. And then she had such a really cool head based off of Maleficent. She had the big horns.
And she does not look like that?
She does. She has this really cool head, but the backpack covers it up. So she's all black, and the face looks pretty good. And she's got the cool horns, but her shoulders are bumping into her head. You can't see her head because the cockpit doesn't go anywhere.
And
her dumb hands.
She's barely posable because of the panels for the helicopter.
Yeah.
She can't move hardly at all. And then you used to hate this toy.
Yeah, I've softened up on it a bit because it does look pretty good.
What failed on this one? Posability?
Posability. It doesn't really look like the character that much. You have this great head sculpt that's hidden behind this giant cockpit that doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't have a gimmick to save it. Not that much paint. When you Google this figure, the first search that comes up is a third-party one that somebody made. And it was like, that shouldn't be. Yeah. It was such a cool character. They don't do very well with the female characters. They're usually smaller. They're usually remolds or whatever. They say that the female characters don't sell that well. But then because they're not good toys, the female characters don't sell that well. But she needs upgrade. She needs to be a larger
modern version.
Yeah, she needs to be a Voyager class and, have all the stuff she's supposed to do. All right, one more. This is a really cool figure. This is Cyclonus from the Studio Series line. This is the Hasbro exclusive toy deco. I have the regular kind of light lavender color one.
And this is an example of what?
Bad QC. But the regular version is excellent. So I have to show you. Well,
I'm confused. Is this a good example or a bad example?
Yes. No, it's excellent engineering. The regular version is wonderful. This has almost no backpack when you get it all.
Oh, I remember. You showed me this guy. Yeah, this guy does amazing transformation where he's so smooth. You can't even tell he transforms when he's a robot because it's so streamlined. Oh, is this the one that has 2 left feet or something?
No. Hardly has a backpack at all. He's a nice tall figure, but he does have...
Oh, there he is.
He's really floppy.
Why,
And apparently they were all like this.
Oh, no.
So you can't get a good one. I'm sure somebody's gotten a good one, but I haven't seen it. He came with stickers, too, to make him more like...
Put him up. Put him up.
No.
Put him up. I'll just shoot down.
Very cool figure, but suffered from really terrible QC, and this is a pin, so I don't think you can fix it, or at least not very easily. There might be some floor polish stuff, but the other one came first and it didn't have this problem. This was the second run of that character, and the other one didn't have these problems. But
example of both good and bad.
Well, he looks just like the cartoon. He's so close to the cartoon model. So that's a good example of looks like as close as they can with the engineering they have to do, because he does have to transform. He looks very close to the cartoon model.
In the end, Kyle, if you were to sum this up, tell us what makes a good Transformer.
Number one, it just has to be fun. You have to enjoy it. You have to be like, hey, this is pretty cool. It looks good. It's fun to transform. It looks like the character. And it can be any one of those. It doesn't have to be them all.
I'm surprised you did not bring Rhinox. Oh. I got that toy. It was on sale, 50% off. I got it. Rhinox, okay, whatever. It's 50% off. That thing is impossible to transform. It is horrible. I want to throw that thing against the
Kingdom
wall.
Rhinox, not the Rise of the Beast.
Yeah,
Rhinox.
the Kingdom Rhinox that's supposed to be a retro, look like the original from Beast Wars. That thing is horrible. The way the butt has to turn into his legs and all those little panels, you have to do it in
clearance
such...
is terrible.
I know. You have to do it in the exact order and at the exact angle, or it does not work at all.
Yeah,
I've transformed them successfully literally once. And I cannot do it. It is so frustrating. And the rest of it isn't fun either, so I don't want to devote the time to learning the exact angle and tolerance, and it's not intuitive. You didn't mention intuitiveness in any of these, but I wonder how much that means to you. Can you pick it up and be like, oh, I remember this?
Well, I think that's a little different for different people, because if you are not familiar with modern Transformers, then these will not be intuitive to you. Because I had heard a reviewer mention that before. It was well, Transformers have changed a lot since I've been a kid, but for someone who does collect modern Transformers, and then you can just pick up one and start transforming it, people use the instructions now just because they are more complicated, but I try not to. I try to look at the pictures and try to do it, but sometimes you can't do that just because of the way they are now, which is fine. I don't see that as a negative.
So they have to be fun.
They have to be fun.
Okay.
They have to be fun, and whether that's the look, the transformation, the alt mode, because sometimes the alt mode's just fun to zoom, zoom, zoom. Yeah.
How would you rank it for you personally as far as what makes a good Transformer?
For me personally, I want a good transformation. I am really into the engineering, how it's put together. I don't want complicated, I want interesting. It doesn't have to be hard to do. I don't collect masterpieces for that reason, but they do have to be interesting and fun to do. You want to pick them up and change them from mode to mode. Back to Rhinox, another thing I would say that makes a Transformer bad is when you have to do it in a very precise order. That makes it not fun. Now, if you can do the legs first, pretty much the bottom half of the Transformer or, and then the top one, or either or, reverse order, which all of these are examples of that. You can do the top first or the bottom first. It doesn't really matter. He's a little different, but just because of the shenanigans where he folds, but he's still...
But it's still more intuitive than that stupid Rhinox.
The problem with that Rhinox that is so offensive is that it didn't even look that good. The head's a little bit off. He didn't even really look that good when he was complete and done. He was overcomplicated. Which one do you like the most?
Man, I think I like the evil hot rod the best. Thunderhoof is awesome because, as Thew Adams says, it just sounds metal. Is the name. But these are all great examples. I'm glad you didn't bring Rhinox because I probably would have just picked it up and thrown it.
I'm trying to save you.
Thank you. If you want to see Kyle's entire Transformer collection, then click on this video here. And while you're at it, why don't you give us a little subscribe if you feel like we've earned your subscription. We will see you guys very soon.
Now get out of here, you crazy kids.
And go transform some Transformers. Oh, there he goes. There he goes. Wait, I need a ride. How do they explain the colors in G2 in the canon of the show?
I don't know if they did. G2 was only a toy line.
The Decepticons have a hot new attitude. Well, so do we.
Maybe there was too much friendly fire and they had to brighten up the colors.
Stop shooting each other in the back. But we're all red and black.
Fine. I'm gonna be purple.